Mayor Nutter will deliver the keynote address at a ceremony today marking the second anniversary of the deadly Center City collapse. A demolition project came crashing down on the Salvation Army at 22nd and Market Streets on this day in 2013. 6 people were killed. 14 others were injured.
Cutting corners can cut lives.
From that collapse, within 3.5 weeks, there was another collapse in Old Richmond. Same thing, digging out the basement. And then from that point on, we had altogether 10 collapses of either walls, houses, from digging out basements and bad construction work.
So it's hard for me to share because of the fact that as part of the settlement to the lawsuit, there is a gag order.
A cold day in February after sitting outside for 6 hours trying to figure out what's going to happen. Are we ever going to be allowed back in that house?
Because of the great increase in construction activity, that there's also been an increase in accidents, collapses, bad things happening on construction sites.
Several fire trucks and other equipment have been dispatched to the Fishtown section of Philadelphia for the report of a partial home collapse that you can see.
I feel like we did everything you could possibly do as a homeowner. We commissioned 2 different engineers' reports. We were in direct contact with David Perry up to the day of and after the collapse.
And that's when I was terrified that Adam is inside, and I kept saying, Adam, come out immediately, because we had no clue what was going to happen.
We really feel like L&I has failed, absolutely failed.
So ServPro had come in and they took all my personal possessions and put it in black bags. And when I came home, I assumed it was trash. When I opened up the black bags, there was all my personal stuff from my entire life, just sitting in piles of sewer water.
There's crime because there's poverty in this, but you're doing this to develop and make money from it. That's unacceptable. Killing someone, that's unacceptable. Damaging their property, that's unacceptable. This is constantly happening, and these people are profiting.
I'm suggesting that buyers don't buy places that don't have solid enough warranties. Most home warranties are 1 year. That's what your television has. I mean, that's just crazy.
Everybody has a role in the development process. You have the developers, you have the banks, you have the neighbors, and you have the realtors that are selling the houses and advertising them.
These developers form an LLC, and then they'll come in and buy a property or build a property. And if something happens, there's no assets behind that. So that who's the suable entity? The LLC is protected, and if the property owners next door get damaged, there's no remedy for compensation for their losses.
One of the things that infuriates me is that with this tax abatement, we're essentially subsidizing these developers who are cutting corners to make the highest amount of money. And it's sick.
If demolitions aren't done properly, lead from older houses can get into the air. That can settle everywhere.
A lot of times when a residential home is being demolished or renovated, it's not required for a contractor or a developer to get an inspection for asbestos.
Jewelers Row is the oldest diamond district in the United States. It's one of the largest, some say the second largest after New York. I think a lot of people never thought it would be anything else, that it would always be Jewelers Row and could never be threatened. But then a suburban developer came along and saw an opportunity and knocked down those buildings and build a cookie cutter glass condo tower.
Really, it's becoming an epidemic here, and it needs to stop.